Here we go. We are recording. Let's see. Oh, and Gary.
So it looks like Scott tried to join us as well. I don't know if Scott Munford, is he in?
Scott Munford is in. He is, I think, just getting opened up. Here he is.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Everybody can hear me?
Yes. Okay. Gary says he is muted at the moment. So he must be trying to do two things at once.
Does that give us a quorum, Kim?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gives us a quorum.
Awesome.
Okay. Right. So we're just at 2:03. Maybe wait a few more minutes, or what would you like to do?
Yeah, maybe we can I'll just, with the group that's on here, let them know, if you didn't hear Kim before, we are recording this. So unless there's any objections, now would be the time to voice them. If you don't want that recorded, but we're going to record it. We don't have to, of course, make it public or anything, but there are different options to have it placed for our future use. So I'll assume your silence is acceptance. If you want to raise your hand, let me know. Okay. All right, very good. So I got some.
Figure out the thumbs up, so I'm gonna do that.
I think you can raise your hand in chat. Is a raise hand feature if you want to.
That's right. So if you want to raise your hand and say no, or you can click the no button. I think there's a no button down there too. But
well, for that you go somewhere else. I can't remember right now. I think reactions, and you'll have thumbs up and wave, and the down is not there.
Yeah. Is there somebody else that joined?
Yeah.
That was me. Yay.
Oh, okay. Hey, Gary. Gotcha. Oh, I do see another.
Rick Brandenburg should be joining us.
Very good. Hey, Rick. Hello, and Rick. Do you hear us?
Rick is doing two things at once.
I see a thumbs up in his little box. I think he's got us here. So, okay. All right. So it is. I think we're in good shape with a good group and a quorum of board members. So why don't we start? As I mentioned before, we are recording this, so I'll be careful, and you do as well. I wanted to also let you know that at least on my screen, and there's a few things we need to vote on. So at the bottom of your screen, on the right-hand side, at least on my screen, there's a raise hand, yes or no button. Kim, is that how we can vote, or should we just try to do voice vote? What's the best way?
Either way is fine with me.
Okay.
So.
Or we can do a raise hand. So for the board members that would be voting, we'll just do a yes or no button. Do you all see that, board members? Do you have the yes or no button at the bottom of your screen?
Of your participants list.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you click on your, okay, good. So if you click on your participants on the bottom, sort of left of center, it should bring up a list to the right-hand side, and you'll see at the bottom, you'll see those options. Okay. So if everybody finds those, that would be an easy way for us to conduct the business here with voting. So does everybody have an agenda in front of them? Does everybody get the agenda from Kim? Okay, if you need one, yes, shout now. Okay, if you need one, shout now. We're just gonna go down the agenda, and the first bit of business, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Our first bit of business is to look at the minutes, and in discussions with Kim, we actually have not voted as a board to accept any of the minutes for the year, which I didn't realize. I thought we were doing that as we went along, but we did not. So I hope you've had a chance to read the minutes. If there are any clarifications or corrections, I'd like for you to express those now. And we can do this one of several ways. We can either vote on them each individually or as a group together. if one needs to be amended, we could take that one out of the group as well. So does anybody have any addendums to the minutes?
Barry, I do not have any amendments to the meeting minutes, but I do suggest we do it all as one group.
All as one group? Okay, so
Yeah, just
Chris,
to
is
move
that-
it forward.
All right, very
So
good.
I will first say I move to approve the meeting minutes then. And then you could do hand raising if you like.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, and those are the 4 minutes that we have printed in your packet. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, if you click your yes button. All opposed, click your no button. Kim, can you see those?
Yep, I got it.
I see all green and no red, so I think we're in good shape there. Very good, thank you. Thank you for, I should have said, thank you for taking time out to join us. And it's been an interesting year for APRES, as it has been for all of us, in terms of how we move forward through the summer. And, as I introduced Kim, you all know how hard she works for this society. And it's been an extra burden this year, just trying to figure out how to move forward with a meeting. And so I want to thank her for her extra work. And this meeting that we're having now would actually have occurred during our normal annual meeting time. So that time frame has been moved up, 3 weeks to a month here as well. So just having to accelerate things. So Kim, I appreciate your diligence in getting us to where we are. And so with that, I'll let you give your report.
Very quickly, quick overview. Membership renewals or new members for the year stands at 118. That's more than halfway to our minimum budget that we put together, of projecting to break even. So there's still quite a few people who haven't registered for the meeting who have abstracts, and you need to do both membership and registrations. I feel very confident that we will meet that membership goal. I've put out 15 marketing pieces this year, a little over 1 a month. Dealt with over 2,500 emails, 6 Zoom meetings, 5 Zoom webinars, 5 board meetings. I've attended 3 industry events, South Carolina Peanut Board Meeting, the Georgia Peanut Farm Show, and the Georgia Peanut Commission Research Report Day. I have visited hotels in Charlotte, Ashland, Greensboro, Raleigh, Wilmington, Savannah, Atlanta, all in attempts to get hotels nailed down for 2021 and 2022, only to have the pandemic throw everything into disarray. So let's see, websites, I continue to do updates for that, and the entire website after this meeting will have some sort of an overhaul from GoDaddy, which I don't exactly understand at the moment, but I told them that we would talk about it after this meeting because I didn't have time to focus on it. Yes.
Just one quick note, you were talking about registrations.
Yes.
And I know you all know Wilson Faircloth. I was talking with him earlier today, and he was saying he hadn't received anything from APRES. I'm going to forward it to him, but I'm curious because I know Wilson attended last year and should be on the email list.
No, that's weird.
So I was just pointing that out. Now, Wilson may have not read the emails too, but that's another story.
Okay. Possibly corporate blocking of, well, if you're getting it, he should be getting it. So, but I will double check it and find out. Continuing with the report, finances, we had a new accounting rep come on for APRES at the end of last year. It's been a slow process getting up to speed. And then in the middle of that, the pandemic with all the business loans, APRES business sort of got pushed a little bit to the side while they dealt with pandemic issues. But we are back on track, and Maria is going to report on all of that shortly. And in time for the meeting, we will have our new management software up and running, at least for members who have joined for this year, to allow you entrance into the virtual annual meeting. That will allow you to check your membership dues payments. You'll have your own individual access to your own records so that you can see if you've paid or not paid, etc. So, and that is, I don't know whether Perrine has joined us, but Perrine Camerite, Bob Camerite's daughter, has been helping us this summer thanks to the American Peanut Council, who hired her to come and work up at their offices in Alexandria, Virginia, only to be squashed by the pandemic. So they offered to allow her to work for us while continuing to pay her. So we are very thankful to the American Peanut Council for allowing Perrine to help us, because truly she, along with Emmy and Chandler, who are much more technology savvy than us, or as me anyway. So thank you all for your help, and that is my report.
Thank you, Kim. We appreciate all your work and helping to organize that and your diligence through the year. Are there any questions for Kim? All right, thank you, Kim.
No questions. I just want to also thank Kim for her flexibility in a very difficult year to be managing APRES and everything. So thank you, Kim.
Great job, Kim.
Thanks, guys, gals and girls and boys.
Good, very good. So now we're going to continue with our new business and just go down the list of the committee reports. So the first one is finance, and Maria Belota has the floor.
And I will start, of course, with thank you, Kim, for putting this together. Indeed, great help, a lot of detail, and I have 3 things to report to you in terms of business. One is the 2019 year-end financial overview. The second part is to report to you the proposed 2020 budget and how Kim put that together. And then I have to report to you a 2020 year to date, which is May 31st, financial overview. For the first one, and you probably had the chance, if you look at the page 35 on your report, you have all these documents and you can actually look through in detail. I will start with the balance sheet as of December 31st, 2019. Kim here presented a side of 2019, also 2018, so just for us to see the trend and what's going on with the finances of the society. And bottom line is that the balance is looking really well. For example, we have current assets at 276,814,000, primarily in cash, checking, CD cards, Vanguard investments. It is on the page 1 of the 2019 balance sheet. I hope that everyone can see. And that is a little over what was last year, 2018. Then we have liabilities, which include a credit card bill and withholding taxes in value of $760. So together with a total equity of $276,054, that brings the total of the assets that I just told you at $276,814. Anybody has questions about the 2019 balance sheet at this point?
And just for clarification, sorry, this is just for your information, and we do want to take a little bit longer to look at the budget for 2020 that we have not approved.
Okay, yes, all right. Then I will move a little faster. The next 2 pages printed here, they show profit and loss as of December 31st, 2019. And basically this, it says that we had an income of $118,300 and expenses at $108,235, with an addition of $1,523 of dividends. The net income for 2019 was $11,589. And I think that we are also here a little better, well, about 3 times better than 2018. So this is about 2019. Any questions on this? If not, I will move to the proposed budget. What Kim did, she just created an Excel file, and
that's on page 40, right? Where we are on page 40.
I'm not following with this here, but I think it is on page 40. Let me. I was not following with page 30, with a page in.
Right. The discussion or the description
Yeah,
is on.
Yes, we are on page 40, indeed. Yes, Kim.
The description of the proposed budget is on 39. The budget itself begins on page 40.
Okay, yes, indeed. Because here, Kim played with 2 colors, green, providing descriptions when the amounts budgeted for 2019 and the actual income expenses amounts, the differences are, they have to be positive, right? And comments in black ink are details on the proposed numbers for the 2020 budget. Bottom line is that with the proposed budget, the income that we propose is at $61,100. The expenses at $59,990, and a net income of $1,200. And you have here on page 40 the description of all the incomes that were figured in. Red denotes that was under the budget. Green is over the budget. And she also provided other years, 2017, 18, and 19, just for comparisons. The proposed approved budget for 2019, for example, you have in column D compared with the actual 2019 budget, and then in the column F in yellow, it is the proposed budget for 2020. On page 40, she details all the possible income that is ending 61,100. Then expenses on page 41 and 42 and 42. Yeah, only 2 pages. And she detailed every expense that we proposed will have, ending in $59,990. And then on page 43, income over expenses, which is very modest, but it is positive. We feel confident that this will realistically be a positive end. And with the situation of this year, reduction of registration, for example, I mean, to me, it looks like a good picture, a nice picture.
All right, thank you.
Any questions so far? We need to vote, I guess, on the proposed budget, right?
I think the way we'll do it, Maria, this comes from your committee in the form of a motion to the board. So I will entertain a second to that motion.
Mm-hmm.
Just one quick question. This is assuming what Kim was talking about, meeting our expectations on registrants for members, correct? This budget?
Yeah.
We're halfway there so far?
Yes.
We're halfway to membership, yes, and meeting registrations at, I didn't do the math on that, sorry, we've got, not to steal Gary's thunder, we have 127 registrations, and I don't know the ratio for individuals to students. Let me see, on registrations. So far to date, as of May 31st, we've received $1,550 in registrations, but the majority of our registrations have come in June. So all I can say is we have 127 people. If you multiply that by even $75, we're getting close.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to accept this year's budget as presented, with the knowledge that we're working our way there still.
Right, yeah, so very good. So Chris has seconded the motion. Is there any other question or discussion for Maria? And I'll just say, if you look at the whole numbers, kind of the bottom line is we're at about half of what we normally would take in and spend. So it's about a 50% reduction. And that's largely, of course, the annual meeting when it's in person. We have a lot of food and beverage and costs associated with that won't be expended this year because of the virtual format. So I think it looks like a responsible budget. But again, we're in uncharted territory, so it's really hard to we don't have any historical precedent to say how close we're going to get or not to this particular budget. So
yeah, that's a good call, Barry. Do we meet if we feel like this budget's going to be after, the virtual meeting, we feel like this budget needs to be reformulated again? Should we have another vote at that time?
It's a good question. I guess given to me anyway, and I'll let others speak, but to me, given the uncertainty of where we are, it's a reasonable budget, we think, for a virtual meeting. We'll find out how close that budget is to reality. But I would say we could take the approach you mentioned, Chris, or we could just leave it as it is and either go over or under budget, and then we would have a historical basis to come back to. And just, the budget is a guide, and it's an estimate of the future, but it's not a known entity until it's finished. So that's another approach. What do others think?
On the sponsorships, I feel pretty good about the sponsor. It looks like they're coming in a different way because we're doing it virtual this year, maybe about half. But feel pretty good we'll be able to get those.
I do, yes. And I just did a quick calculation of 127 registrations times $25, which that's the lowest registration. And that comes in at $3,175. So I'm fairly certain we are over already the income expectations for registrations.
And Kim, on the sponsorships, the corporate sponsorships, it says anticipating 10 companies. How many do you have so far?
I have 8 companies so far. Oh, Bob Kimmert's waiting to be let in. Sorry, you guys. There. Okay. Bob, are you with us? I'm sure he will be momentarily.
Welcome.
Okay.
If you can hear us, say hello or raise your hand. Okay, he's not quite there yet. So, all right. Other Bob will, I'm sure, hopefully we'll get on here in a minute. If not, he'll let us know. Anybody else have questions or comments on the budget? The proposed budget. Okay, I hear no more. So I have a motion and a second. So I'll call the question. If you are in favor of the proposed budget, click your yes. If not, click no.
I have 9 approvals.
Looks like all green to me, Kim. I think you have it recorded.
Yes.
Very good. Hello, Bob. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Some spring problems. I apologize.
That's all right. We got you. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Okay. We are, Bob, just to catch you up, we're on the Finance Committee report. And I think, Maria, was that the end of your report, or do you have more?
Well, I do have the year-to-date 2020 financial overview.
Okay.
That was prepared by May 31st, 2020. And for this, I have a balance sheet, and then I have information on profit and loss. And you can see those. They start on the summary is on page 44. Then the balance sheet is on page 45, followed by profit and loss on page 26 and 27. And basically what this shows is that the current assets are $253,931, primarily in cash, like we usually do. The receivables accounts of $17,338, and this includes invoices that have been sent out but not paid yet. Liabilities are a minus $28,876, including credit card bills, withholding taxes, prepaid expenses for the 2021 annual meeting. Annual meeting registration, overpayments due to changes in annual meeting registration fee of $1,050. And these add up to total equity of $282,428. And liabilities and equity are $253,931. That would be on your page 45. On pages 46 and 47 are actually detailed the profits and loss. that ends up on page 27 with a net income of $6,373 as shown in expenses. What do we have here? Income through May 31st, 2020 of $27,833. Peanut Science paid page charges, membership dues, and registration fees, and expenses of $21,712, including executive officer salary, taxes, Peanut Science publishing charges, and annual meeting expenses. And I guess this is my last report to you, unless you have questions about it.
Okay, well, I'll just say thank you for your team and committee working on all of this, and thanks to Kim, I know, who helps put all this together, really does put all this together. I would just say in general, it looks like APRES is in sound financial position, even if we have to weather through a loss in this particular fiscal year because of our meeting cancellation, or change of venue, as it were. So thank you for your help on that and work on that. Any questions for Maria?
No question, but I like folks to read that comment, though, that we are missing it, technically an asset that would probably have us be in the positives if you look at it that way. So I think overall, like you're saying, Barry, everything looks pretty healthy for APRES.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Very good. All right. Any others? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, and we're moving on in your big packet to the nominating committee report, which Rick and Gary will lead, and we're on page 48 in your packet. So, Rick, would you like to take the floor here?
Yes, thank you, Barry. And like has already been said, thanks to Kim for the leadership she's shown. But we don't want to forget two people that got a lot more than they signed up for this spring, and that's Barry and Gary. Their job description changed dramatically the last few months, and you two have really helped out move this thing forward and get us to where we are. So thank you very much. The nominating committee, which included also Julie Marshall, Rebecca Bennett, and Keith Rucker. We had 3 positions that we had to look and fill. President-elect and university rep for the Southwest, and also the industry rep for manufactured products. There was a very quick and unanimous decision on David Jordan as our president-elect. Mark Burrow had, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mark Burrow had a shorter term because he filled in when Mark Woodard left. And the committee felt that Mark should be given an opportunity to continue and serve a full term. So he is the individual we named for continuing in the Southwest rep. And for the industry rep and manufactured products, we looked at a lot of options and a lot of good people to choose from. And we chose Victor Nwasu in this situation. The other positions are all filled more or less internally, but those are the 3 names that we came up with for president-elect, university rep Southwest, and industry rep.
Very good. Thank you, Rick. So I don't think we need to vote on this, but my notes just say that we review the nominees and verify or confirm that they meet the requirements to serve as members of the board. And so I would just ask, Rick, that you guys did verify the years of service in committee and things like that. On all
Kim made sure we did that, as she always does. So I
bet
probably
she
wouldn't have pulled it off as effectively as if Kim hadn't been making sure we did that. So yes, we have.
We all have that same experience with Kim. So absolutely.
Yes. And that's usually a good thing.
It is a good thing. So thank you, Rick, for that report, and we'll look forward to these new members joining the board in the coming year.
Will you just walk through real quickly the process of how we're going to get the membership to approve these nominees?
Yeah, so Kim, you may have to help me, but we talked about usually the membership would vote at our annual meeting to accept these nominees. And so since we don't have that opportunity this year, we've thought of a couple of ideas. I think the one that seems to be the most fitting to me is that we would simply do a vote of the membership by some electronic means, and that as long as we have 15% members voting, whatever the majority says, we would accept that. I think I got that right, Kim. Isn't that right? As some sort of electronic vote you could do with a voting app?
It is. Normally when we ask the membership to vote on things, it has to be a 15% response rate back from the membership, and then the majority of that 15% goes forward. There technically isn't a contingency for voting on the board nominees via e-vote, but I assume in this day and age that this is fine.
Yep, I think so, Kim. Sorry, I broke up there right at the end. I'm not sure if you had something else to add, but yeah, I think so. We're going to approach it that way. Again, a bit unprecedented for us, but I think we should be able to make that work. This is such a controversial slate of officers. I'm not sure that it will pass, but I think most of them, I think every one of them have been in leadership positions before, so I think we're in good shape there.
So we will call for additional nominees until July 10th. Then we'll send out the full slate of nominees that David just, that Rick just presented on July 14th, and to have all responses back by the 31st so that we will have a new board in place by the end of July.
So that would be a question that I would have is that normally we have this done during the business meeting, and these would go into effect at the end of the annual meeting. I think it actually says something in the bylaws about that. If we wait till July 10th or July 15th, is that an issue?
It's a good question. I mean, it does say that basically all the officers and committees begin their service at the end of the annual meeting. And so I think, I think we can either just say we're going to just allow a little grace there in terms of, a couple of weeks after to get that done, or we can try to move it back. Kim, what do you think?
It's really the call of you and the board. If you, if the timeline, if you want to shorten it, we can shorten it so that everybody is in place by July 16th, which would be the normal day that they would be put in place. We could do that, or we will delay it by 2 weeks and it'll be the end of July, but it's really your call.
So I think with this being a virtual meeting, and if you're going to do it via an e-vote, most people are going to see that vote, especially if it's at the very beginning of the information they've received. So I have a strong feeling you're going to have your 15% by the 16th. So I think we can keep with the current time frame that normally is by the end of the meeting. Those folks know they've been voted in or not. So that's just my take.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Chris.
So to play the devil's advocate, what if you don't get 15%?
We'll have to go out again until we do. I'm sorry. I mean, the only other way that this could be done is, again, in the bylaws, it does state that for contingencies not contained within this bylaws, the board of directors can essentially pass whatever by majority vote.
Right. So I think, you know, the way the organization is structured gives us pretty wide latitude in that. And so maybe we do it this way. If we do receive the 15% by the 16th, then we can call the vote and we're done. If we don't, then at the end of the meeting, we would put out another call to encourage more participation. Does that sound like a reasonable plan, that then we would have it by the 30th and have those, the board installed by then, for sure? Either nobody likes it or everybody likes it. I'm not sure which.
It's a good plan.
I think it's a plan.
Okay, so, all right. So Kim, do we need to vote on that anyway? Or are we okay just to accept that in our minutes and move forward?
Just accept it as part of the committee report.
Okay, very good. We'll move forward. So, all right. Thank you, Rick and Kim. And the next is Gary. Garrett, do you have a report on your committee assignments?
Well, I have a long list of committee appointments that I need to do. Kim sent this to me with a lot of yellow lines in it. So I am in the process of getting these. I think I'm somewhere around 18 to 20 changes on all the different committees to get those in place prior to the virtual meeting taking place. One thing that will have to happen at some point is that after David is fully vetted into that president-elect position, then he would start working on the program committee to put those names together.
That's right. Yeah, it is quite a long list of committee appointments to make. So we appreciate your work on that, as well as the program itself. So you're right about the program committee. That will come once David is in that role. So
okay.
All right. Well, best of luck. If we can help, let us know. We can twist some arms for you. Well,
the good thing is that Kim sent a list of candidates, and with those candidates, you know, normally we don't have a problem with our attendees or members saying no. So it's basically just giving them a call and asking if they'd be willing to serve. And I fully believe that we'll be able to fill these fairly easily.
Well, I should say that those candidates usually come from people who send me emails saying they'd like to serve.
Exactly.
And so I just passed on that information. Kim does not know everything.
Very good. Yeah, I think you'll find it an easy sell. So not too much arm twisting. All right. Gary, anything else, or Rick on the nominations?
Nothing else from me.
Very good. Thank you both for your efforts there. Our next is the Publications and Editorial Committee, and Josh is on the report.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry I didn't send this report before to be in the packet. I apologize for that. But we met on June 18th. So we were luckily, Chris Leopold was agreed to join us, and that was obviously very important. We discussed the production book, and good news to report that Maria Belota delivered her chapter a few weeks ago. So we currently have 5 chapters in hand. Her chapter was on physiological development and abiotic stress tolerance. This year, Marshall Lamb and Chris Butts decided to combine their chapters into one on economics of production and irrigation and water use, to be completed by Dr. Butts. The chapter on historical development of peanut, Dr. John Beasley decided that recently that he wouldn't be able to deliver that, which I think makes total sense, knowing what he's dealing with recently. So we discussed potential for who could fill his place in that. My suggestion was that we reach out to Howard Valentine to write that chapter. I thought that would be a good choice. We haven't done that yet, but that's what we discussed doing. With the impetus of Chris or Dr. Leopold, we discussed the chapters on disease management and insect management. Basically, that maybe a good option there would be to take old chapters of those that were very nicely put together and thorough, and have an update. So that would require, I'll have to, if we think that's a good path, then we would have to get those old chapters scanned in, and then for disease management, possibly Dr. Brenneman, Tim Brenneman, or Albert Colbreth could provide an update for those chapters, and for insect, Mark Abney, who was responsible for that chapter. Yeah, so that's the report on the production book. We also discussed the quarterly newsletter. We talked about the email list for updates. We suggested to Allison to engage the graduate student reps for news. Chandler, who's on this call, and whoever the grad student society president is currently, and also discussed adding Peggy Azias Akins to the list, because she's the director of the Institute of Plant Breeding UGA, so she has a lot of knowledge on the students and grant opportunities through her position there. So that's my report. Barry, I'm going to get you this book this year, and I think we're close. Kira and Sham, I'm going to make sure it happens.
Appreciate your work on that, and I know you have to be a bulldog, don't you, to get us to write things. So
yeah, I think this year I'm gonna push that a little bit. I sort of let Kira and Sham, we had our discussion last year, sort of let them sort of do their thing, and I think we have to do a couple things here to push this over the edge. So
well, thank you for your efforts there, and please thank your team as well. So very good, thank you.
Barry, I'll just add that Josh brought some creative ideas that spurred new ideas, so I thank him for coming in and bringing those ideas.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Josh, this is
for Josh or Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, this was David Jordan. I just had a question about the agronomy chapter and the weed chapter. Do you have a draft of those, or are they still floating around?
We have a draft of the. I have this sheet up here. We do have a draft of the weed chapter. Although we did discuss that possibly that was actually one of the first ones to be finished, so we actually might need that to be updated. And also Sean did peanut growth and development, which I guess that would be agronomy, and or maybe not. Yeah, crop management agronomics. That was received in October of 2019 by Scott Tubbs, so that we're good on that.
Okay, good.
I would also like to add, we have one more chapter, the U.S. peanut production outlook and marketing implications. So we had in there possible Patrick Archer to write that. I did, and Barry and some others, maybe you have an idea about this. My idea was possibly to engage the peanut board. So maybe one of Bob's people would like to write that chapter. So that was something that I was going to reach out to Bob about, if it was received positively by the board.
Josh, I have a question for you. What's going on with this big data management chapter? I thought you had a big data management chapter as well.
Yeah, big data management. So Kira is gonna
contact me. She did this morning.
Yeah. So I guess you know what I know then.
And a little more. Yes, well, I was agreeable that because I have the high throughput phenotyping remote sensing part included new in my chapter, to let, I can't remember the name of the guy at the University of Florida. I was supposed to write the chapter, but I don't think that he will be able to write an entire chapter, just only make edits to the plant physiology chapter. I was wondering in this case whether the title should stay the same or be a little bit altered.
Yeah, I mean the title might change if he wanted to go that route and add a little bit to combine those chapters, sure. But I guess we'll wait and see what he would provide.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see that too before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Committing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria, for helping out with that. So yeah, we look forward to continued progress and like you said, getting across the finish line. Josh, thanks, and Chris as well. All right.
Let me just say real quick that I apologize. I have to leave now because my son is waiting to go to his nap. It's a no daycare time, so I'm sorry about that.
Thank you for your time, Josh. Take care.
Okay. I'd like to add one more thing about for the publications and editorial committee. Tim Gray wanted me to report that 47.1 is done for the year. 47.2 is about to be published, and he believes that because of the pandemic, we've been very, very good at writing papers or articles for Peanut Science, and we will put out a 47.3 this year.
Very good. Very good.
It's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all for Chris and all who work on the Publications and Editorial Committee. So with that, I think we'll move on to the Peanut Quality Committee. And William has provided an excellent written report of his committee's meeting. And William, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that or speak about your committee's report.
Good afternoon, Barry, and thank you. It's good to be with you. Not really. I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody's got. I don't know if they've had time to read the notes I wrote up, but we did meet via Microsoft Teams about 3 weeks ago. I think we were the very first one that actually met, because I was talking with Kim on recording and reports and things of that nature. So I'll just kind of go through it very briefly. Our big topic of discussion this year was an easy one: aflatoxin in the 19 crop, and it's affected the entire industry, as you well know, Barry, and most everyone. So we had a lot of talking points on that, and you know, it kind of is what it is. We're working through it, and we're just hoping the 20 crop is better. The industry does need a good 2020 crop to hopefully increase profitability for all segments and get our supply and quality back in a healthier position. We also noted some seed quality issues and challenges this year, mostly as a result of the poor late season conditions that caused all the aflatoxin in the crop. High amount of splits and some low moisture when peanuts were harvested, as well as higher damage and aflatoxin led to some seed challenges this year. But we've moved through that pretty well and got the crop planted. I think most all shellers and small independent seed distributors sold out of seed this year from what I can hear. So there has been a lot of peanuts planted. I'm just riding up and down the road a little bit. I haven't been out. I've been quarantined as well, still working from home, but what little bit I have been out there, there's a lot of peanuts planted. So if they make, we're going to have a large crop this fall to harvest. Another topic we discussed was just demand increase and any concerns with the quality of supply. Chris Leeball's on the call. That was one of the questions he brought up during the committee discussion. And we've seen a huge spike in peanut butter demand. Snacks have been up some. I think candy and maybe some others have been flat. But the question, you know, is can we capture this demand increase and sustain it? Great question. Hopefully we can. Things really look good for peanut butter immediately going forward. But, you know, there's still so much uncertainty with this pandemic and where things are going, how long it's going to go. So we just don't know much right now. But it is a good sign for peanut supply and usage. We discussed freeze damage in Southwest peanuts. That's something that comes up from time to time. Kraft Heinz noted some complaints they had. And we discussed that, what you can do about it. And mainly it's something just to educate growers and shellers on as far as watching the weather and trying to handle and minimize any risk in the field. And if you do find it, try to segregate it and keep it out of anything good. Moving along to my next section, the UPPT. We didn't have anything on that. Dr. Dean's on our committee as well. And she told us before we even met that all the samples were sent in, but right ahead of when the pandemic started. So no chemistry work has been done on that. Hopefully it'll be able to be started and completed and reported at a later time, but we don't have any data on that. We also discussed quality on properties beyond peanut maturity and fatty acid composition. We talked about protein and how important that is and monitoring that. Fiber and folate were brought up as far as things that come up quite often for peanut health conversations. And can we test for that? What does that mean? And we determined usually not, but it's good to be mindful of it. And we should probably be working with other organizations like the Peanut Institute just to be mindful of what they're doing from a nutrition standpoint and focus our energies to work together. And lastly, Barry, I gave a brief update on the Peanut Research Foundation and where we're at. I've chaired that for the last year and a half, and we'll go through December. And as many of you know that submit projects for us each year, we are in year 1 of phase 2 of the Peanut Genome Initiative, and we're focusing on 4 areas of research: drought tolerance, aflatoxin mitigation, disease resistance, and flavor conservation. So we have funded, I think it's 15 projects for this year. And as far as I know, they're all the contracts have been signed and everything is moving forward. At this time, haven't really had any recent updates, but
it's 3 o'clock.
So everything is moving forward as it should, as far as we know with that. So thank you all, and I'll be glad to take any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, William, for your committee's work. And I know it's a very different format this year, having to meet in person. I mean, not being able to meet in person, having to meet virtually, but we appreciate your efforts there. And are there any questions for William? Very good. Thank you, William. And so this is a very important committee for APRES. I think it's one of the most well attended when we are in person. So I know we missed that this year, but we appreciate you bringing that up, and maybe we need to get this out. I think might be appropriate to get this out if your committee agrees, maybe to the membership in some format, just to read what's going on to keep up with the work of the committee.
So Barry, I have to say that I found it refreshing to do it virtually because it did allow us more flexibility to expand the time as needed. So whoever ends up, I know William's doing it now and is going to do it for the foreseeable future, but I think it was good for the committee to have a pre-meeting as they did, and then we could still have an in-person one at APRES when it's back to be normal.
Absolutely. It makes sense. Thanks for that. All right, any other questions or comments for the Quality Committee? All right, William, thank you again. So our next report is the Public Relations Committee. I think Dylan Wan is online to give that report.
Yeah, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to hop on here. We were able to meet virtually last Thursday, just in the nick of time. I had an excellent meeting. We'd met one time back in January as well, pre-pandemic, to discuss some ideas for these meetings, which ended up having to change footing a little bit, as with everything else with this year's meetings. Real quickly, I'll go through. You can see my extremely verbose report on page 53. It's just an outline of our last meeting, but provides a pretty good little breakdown of what I'll cover real quick. As far as the necrology report goes for this year, we had Richard Rudolph from Bayer, Tom Beatty from Universal Blanchers, Mary Webb from the Texas Peanut Producers Board, Greg Sayer from Shan Peanut Company, Jasper Sanfilippo, and then Mert Feltz. As of this morning, Kim sent that on. That's what we had collected tentatively over the year. I figured since we're all together, was there anybody else anybody may know of that may need to be added to that list for the necrology report for this past year? If not, I'll go ahead and continue, and feel free to contact me or forward on any information as you see fit. I haven't written that report up to get to Kim yet, so there's still some time to add some names to that list if need be. Second, in light of last year's decision to start recognizing notable retirees from the industry, we hadn't had any of record, and same thing, if anybody knew of anybody retiring that felt we needed to acknowledge and honor in the proceedings. Is there anybody that y'all can think of off the top of your heads now?
I did hear that Patrick Archer will be retiring in a year and a half.
Okay.
With the American Peanut Council.
Okay.
He announced that at the USA Peanut Congress last week.
Okay. We'll have him down as on the list for next year. That's right. Well, good. Well, same thing. If anybody thinks of anything after this call's over, feel free to send them my way, and I'll get them included in the report for the final proceedings for this year. Moving on, per last year's meeting and approved by the board of directors, we had looked at pursuing a possible cross-promotion event with the National Peanut Board, Peanut Institute, as they do so many promotional events year-round in different areas and different regions of the country. We thought it would be a natural combination to try to do something with them at the APRES meetings, which we met in January to talk about this as well. And then, like everybody else's narratives, the pandemic struck. So all of our great ideas of trying to include people from the community and lay people and whatnot into the physical meetings kind of got dashed on the rocks. We did have some good brainstorming, especially for next year. I figure I'd cover just some ideas that we discussed both in January and then last week as well for, I guess, recommending for the Public Relations Committee for this next year to follow up. We figured probably the sooner the better, especially after the meetings in July are finished. We may as well go ahead and get the ball rolling, since we know that we'll be in Texas for the 2021 meetings. Kim had already been in touch with the Texas Peanut Producers Board about possibly doing the cross-promotion event with them, including Matt. We had talked tentatively. Gary had suggested that on the front end of the week, program-wise, there would likely be some decent room for an event with any of these organizations. One of the ideas that we'd had as a committee was basically to take advantage of all the cumulative expertise that's present at the APRES meetings, kind of have an ask the experts, quote unquote, roundtable or forum to where lay people or people from the community or school children from the local area or other adults, other folks at the hotel, the meeting hotel, may be able to attend and essentially be able to ask the experts about production issues, kind of FAQs about peanuts that the average layperson wouldn't know, to be able to, again, kind of connect the APRES expertise and the APRES community to folks who aren't necessarily in the technical side of things, and then incorporate somebody from the National Peanut Board and the Peanut Institute into that roundtable discussion as well, and then possibly look at live streaming something like that, or putting it on YouTube to where that would be something that would be available online to the general public. That was something that we thought would work for this year, and are recommending for next year be part of the discussion for the Public Relations Committee to evaluate. And then also we thought that perhaps opening up the 5K fun run to either the immediate surrounding community around the meeting hotel, or to other residents of the hotel during the APRES meetings, may be a good way to connect people through a unique way, through a 5K, which most people, not necessarily me, love a 5K, but those who like to run would enjoy that. But we figured that would be a cool way to maybe have Tyron Spearman come make peanut butter sandwiches at the end of the run, have folks from some of the manufacturing companies, Smuckers, Hershey's, etc., Mars, bring some snacks and some information about the health benefits of peanuts. We thought that'd be a cool way to take advantage of that infrastructure that's already there for the fun run, to potentially bring some, raise some awareness about peanuts and the industry and the health benefits of peanuts as well. And Kim had mentioned at that hotel that it would be pretty easy to do that there's a train that makes it real easy to get around. And so that may be a pretty simple way to take advantage of that already being in place, to expand that to some people outside of APRES. And then moving forward, we had, let's see, I've got my notes here. We'd also talked about for this meeting for 2020, Kim had the idea of potentially doing a virtual ice cream social, mimicking what they did at the Peanut Congress. They'd done a virtual cocktail reception over Zoom, where they sent out a cocktail recipe and I believe a snack recipe beforehand, to where everyone could make that and have that on hand and do it kind of virtually. So we're indulging the idea of seeing if we could make that a possibility to do that with the ice cream social, see if we could do that over Zoom, and maybe have somebody at the Peanut Institute share a fun recipe that we could send out ahead of time and have everybody try, and still hold on to some aspect of that ice cream social, even though it would be virtual. So we're still working on that for this meeting. The 5K fun run ideas and the roundtable ideas would be more for 2021. Although in conversation with Gary, and Gary, feel free to provide input on this as well. We talked about maybe trying to do that virtually for this meeting, but with the nature of the general session program being fairly general on production strategies and issues, there'll be an individual from the Peanut Institute there commenting on that we felt that would be a little bit redundant to try to do a separate event virtually. There would already be some overlap with what was going on in the general session program along those lines. So that would be something to better evaluate or flesh out more comprehensively for the 2021 meetings. Moving on, we'd also had the purview of trying to expand the international impact and membership of APRES, and there's an ad hoc committee of Steve Brown, Peggy Osias-Akins, and Mark Burrow to evaluate whether or not we could do something cooperatively with the Advances in Americas through Genomics and Biotechnology, or AAGB community, who regularly has hosted international meetings, or the IPGI, the Genome Institute, see if there could be some room for partnership there. The AAGB met in China this fall, and in conversation with Steve and Peggy, they decided to transition from an annual format to a biennial format every other year. So they'll be meeting in India for 2021, and then 2023 would be their next meeting location. And from what Steve has said, it's still to be determined where that location would be, but there's a pretty good chance of that rotating to the US. And both Steve and Peggy had suggested that probably the most practical step for that would be, and I think we discussed this too back in October at our conference call with everybody here, that that would likely be the most natural step, rather than reinventing the wheel and doing an APRES meeting from the ground up internationally. Tried to do something cooperatively with one of these other organizations, either internationally or when they rotate back to the US. Long story short, the AAGB could possibly rotate back to the US in 2023. And if so, we were recommending for the Public Relations Committee to continue evaluating whether or not that would be, there'd be a possibility for doing a joint cooperative meeting. From my experience with the AAGB folks, they're a lot more flexible on what time of year they meet. So I think if we did it did a possible joint meeting with APRES in July and basically stick to APRES format. I don't think that would be a problem with the AAGB folks, but that's still TBD. So Kim had mentioned in our meeting last week that the APRES location for 2023 isn't booked, but Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but it will likely be in the Southeast, or it'll be in the Southeast that year, likely in Georgia. And then we'll probably need to know here within the next 6 months, we'll need to be in conversation with the AAGB about where they're going to decide to host 2023. And if that's a possibility, basically in the next 6 months, we would need to know if that's an option with them to get things booked and basically expand the booking for that 2023 APRES location to possibly facilitate a more expanded meeting in conjunction with them. The IPGI, they've decided not to continue in their current format as far as regular meetings. So that's still a bit of a wild card. I need to be in touch with Josh Clevenger about their future. I think they're still going to want to do things on a periodic basis. So there still may be an opportunity to collaborate, either same type of thing to see if when they rotate to a United States-based meeting, if that's something that could be done in conjunction with the regular APRES meetings, but that's still TBD. The likeliest, the most concrete option would be doing a joint meeting with the AAGB here in the U.S. If and when they rotate back in 2023 or in the future. Some other ideas that we had as well for international attendance. Gary had mentioned that with the virtual format, it'll be a real interesting kind of beta test this year with the international thing to see, with folks being able to attend virtually. I know this with a lot of folks I know in Argentina, they're really excited about being able to attend APRES for the first time virtually for a lot cheaper and without having to travel to the U.S. to do it. So Gary had mentioned we'll see how it goes as far as the virtual attendance goes, especially internationally, and see if that's something that would be worthwhile to continue. And if so, to grow international attendance possibly through the virtual platform rather than being here in person. Of course, being in person is always better, but isn't necessarily an option for a lot of practitioners outside the U.S. And then finally, too, we had touched on the idea of, I think Gary had mentioned as well, with the virtual format that'll lend itself to possibly doing some periodic seminars or webinars throughout the year outside of the regular July APRES meetings, which is a cool concept. I know a lot of other societies, I'm sure that we're all involved with, do the same. I know the agronomy crop science folks do that, as well as the National Association of Plant Breeders that I'm involved with. And so there's some cool opportunities there for APRES as well with that technology and I guess infrastructure in place. We'd also talked about possibly to encourage international connection and involvement from folks who hadn't previously been involved with APRES from outside the U.S., possibly highlight a production region in different parts of the world, say production issues in Argentina or production issues in China or in Europe or in Africa or Australia. And Gary had suggested possibly holding a webinar focusing on these different regions and maybe invite speakers virtually from these different locations to do a webinar on treating smut, peanut smut in Argentina, or selecting for drought resistance in Australia, that kind of thing. Excuse me once. I had talked too long without taking a drink. I had to cough there. Excuse me. But that was one suggestion that, again, pending the July meetings and how everything goes with the virtual format, that may be something that we could do to expand our international connection and impact as potentially host periodic webinars throughout the year, not just in July for practitioners and technical experts from some different international regions, and see if that may be a go. So that's not very concrete, but is an idea that we thought, again, after these July meetings and everything going, excuse me, with the virtual format, that may be a possibility to start doing cheaply, to where you don't have to pay for someone's visa or pay for their travel to come be an invited speaker, but you could do it virtually from different places internationally. So anyways, that's a ton of information, and I know I went through it kind of quickly, but wanted to make sure to touch on that. Is there any questions on that?
Dylan, I just thank you for your committee's work. A lot of innovative ideas, I think, are coming out, and I think both you and Gary are right that this sort of COVID sort of forced us into a virtual format that might have longer term benefits if we're able to sort of make that known that we have this resource, and like webinars and even that would just be sort of exchange of information across international boundaries that we may not get otherwise. So I think it's a good idea. All right, any other questions for Dylan?
So not a question, but maybe a comment is with the thought maybe in 2023 doing a combined meeting. I would say the program committee next year and the year after need to start making steps towards making room for that. So I think just the thought of, what I was commenting, that these committee meetings on being online or doing virtually, publication committee doesn't need to meet at APRES. So can we free up that hour, start thinking, this coming program and then next year's program or the year after's program to start trying to free up time to make that so it's a smooth transition, not all of a sudden we're packing it in all of a sudden.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I think that had been suggested too. I think Josh had mentioned that back in October that, if we try to do something internationally that, just like with APRES, our society, we're planning 3 years in advance, that the sooner the better. And so that's where Kim had suggested that basically in the next 6 months, we would need to nail that down with the AAGB and then go from there. But yeah, Chris, I think you're exactly right. The quicker we could evaluate that, the better.
Yeah, very good points. Very good points. So, Dylan, thank you for that. We look forward to to follow-ups on that. Kim, sorry.
I just wanted to make sure that the board is clear that, or by endorsing his report, that it's okay for Ellen to move forward with these ideas. And
I think that's a good point as well. In other words, if we move forward as a society with hosting international webinars sort of under our banner, it would be an APRES webinar, and we would be inviting speakers from around the world to give information on their environments, what they're facing crop-wise, research-wise, are there any other questions about that? Did I represent that correctly, Dylan?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, again, that kind of just depends on how things go in July, but we figured for moving forward with the PR committee that would be something worth evaluating shortly after the meetings are over, to see if that's something here in the next year we could get going and kind of beta test a webinar. But yeah, I think you summed it up real well, Barry.
So I think, unless board members have other comments, I would say that your committee is free to explore that, and then figure out how it might happen in real time when you're ready.
Sounds great.
All right, very good. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to move us on a little bit. Thank you again, Dylan, for that report and your work. Our next report is the Bailey Committee Award, and Scott Monford to present his report.
All right. Thank you, Barry. Glad to be with you today as well. Mine will be more or less brief. In the committee report, you'll see that we did get 12 nominations, one from each section this past year, in which 6 manuscripts were turned back in for consideration. And of those 6, the committee got together and rated them. I took all of those and then compiled them, and then we did come up with a pretty, not unanimous, but it was pretty much based on the points on how we graded everything. One stood out, not very much in the way of point differences from a lot of them, because they were all very good. But I did submit that to Kim, the recipient for 2020, and so that is available, Barry, for you and for Kim as far as the award part goes. As far as Bailey Award for this upcoming year, we did discuss it as a committee because it, you know, we were discussing with it going to a virtual format. Would that be as easy or as fulfilling as it needs to be, you know, with trying to find people to be able to go in and sit in a whole session and be able to get everything out of it like you would in person. And so based on the committee, I think it was pretty unanimous so that we would rather push that to the 2021 and skip 2020 for the Bailey Award. And hopefully when we get back into a normal meeting setting that we'll kind of start that again.
Thank you.
I'll just say I have some concerns about that just because we don't know if the 2021 meeting is going to go off without a hitch, and we might have to be virtual again for all we know. We're in uncertain times, so I think it's okay to maybe skip one, but you know, we just need to have some thoughts on how to do this virtually if we want to keep the Bailey Award, you know, relevant going forward. If we need to have more virtual meetings potentially.
Sure, and it was discussed, you know, quite a bit. And the biggest thing is trying to find out how do you appoint people to be in certain areas for the entire time. And, you know, because again, we hadn't been through this virtual, you know, meeting at all. So once we go through it this year and figure out, you know, what and how fluid it moves, I think it can be, you know, then easily adapted. It's just that we just don't know right now. And so we were just wanting to take that first year.
Makes sense. And you're right as well, Chris. I hope we don't have to do this again, but if we do, we'll have a little history behind us and be able to add to it some things like the Bailey Award, hopefully. And so, Scott, I'll be contacting you. We just want to kind of work out how we make the announcement of the awards. Just an idea is that we would make an announcement. Maybe I would just do that for all the awards as an announcement to the group when we meet virtually, and then have you and the other committee chairs who were responsible for this year's awards to present those awards next year, if, knock on wood, if we're able to meet in person. So
Okay.
I'll get with you on that offline from this, and we'll figure out how to do that. So,
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much, Scott, and the work of your committee is much appreciated. Our next committee is the Fellows Committee, and David Jordan would just lead us through his report.
Sure. Yeah. Good to see everybody and talk to everybody. My report's very, very quick. You'll see it in the packet. We only had one nomination, and that was Dr. Tim Gray, and the committee unanimously felt like Dr. Gray was, you know, worthy of being honored in this way. So that's our recommendation from the committee. And certainly going forward, we'll try to get more folks to nominate. You know, there's a lot of people that deserve this honor, but Tim was the one this year, and he's very deserving of that honor.
Absolutely. Great nomination, great selection. And Tim. All right, thank you, David. Any questions for David? And just as a reminder, and you know, we can elect up to 3 fellows annually. I think that's right.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
So we do need to look around at our colleagues and nominate those who we feel are worthy for this honor. So
this needs a board vote.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. This does need a board vote. So the nomination comes from David's committee in form of a motion to accept Tim Gray as a fellow. Do I hear a second for that nomination?
A second.
Thank you, Nathan. All right. All in favor, please click your yes button, and opposed, no.
I think that second came from someone else, but I would second him.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was you.
I was getting ready to say second.
It was Kimmerit.
Oh, it was Bob. Okay. Sorry, Bob. So a little green flash up there. I just noticed Nathan. So
Okay, so that's approved.
Very good. Thank you. And we'll look forward to congratulating Tim when we can. All right, very good. So the next one is our site selection committee, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I don't think there's a lot to report there other than I think we have a plan. So Gary, would you like to lead us through that, or Kim? I'm not sure who wanted to do that. I should say. Yeah. That's Gary. Yeah, sorry, Gary.
Yeah, I can certainly do it. You see the report, I guess that's on page 56. It's certainly been a challenge. Kim has contacted a long list of people and sites for us to move into. Of course, we were all set for the hotel ballast. All right, so all set for the Omni this year, all set for the hotel ballast in 2021, and then trying to figure out what to do in 2023. Everything has been, the Omni part has been renegotiated. Luckily, they agreed to Kim's discussions, and that we're not having to pay any major fees, any cancellation fees in 2020. They're actually letting us move all of our meeting events to 2021. We did have to pay basically a down payment or advance so that we hold those meetings. We are scheduled for July 13th through 15th at the Omni in Dallas. And then Kim got an email, I guess this was last week, from the Hotel Ballast saying that at the time when we first talked to them, they did not have an opening for us. There was another group that was wanting to meet during that same week. And luckily, that group has decided to move later in July, which opened up the July 12th through 14th time frame for us. I think currently the hotel is working up the agreement or contract, and I don't think we've received that back yet, right, Kim?
We received it on Friday. Sorry, Gary, I should have sent that on to you.
Oh, that's okay.
I haven't read it,
Don't worry.
but according to her email, it's the same proposal that they gave us for 2021. So I am feeling fairly confident right now that we will be in Wilmington in 2021. I'm sorry, 2022.
2022.
Kim, just to clarify, does it have an exception for COVID if that were to happen again to us?
I do not know. Like I said, I've been kind of busy with other things and haven't sat down to read that contract yet. I had asked them to put in a COVID clause so that we don't run into the problems that we did with Dallas this year. I am assuming they put that clause in. They agreed to it when it was still 2021. But again, I haven't read the 2022 contract yet.
Thank you.
So I think that's where we are for 20, 21, 22. And then once we get through this meeting, and when Kim has a little bit of time to surface, she can start, or she said she would start contacting the hotels again so that we start looking into 2023. Any questions on the site selection committee?
Yeah, Kim, do you need direction about 2023 in AAGB before you start contacting hotels?
It would be nice to have some direction from AAGB because it will impact the number of hotel rooms we'll have to reserve, as well as the amount of meeting space and potentially the number of days of meetings that we will have. So yes, so sometime within the next 6 months, I need that information from them. I need some sort of idea of whether they want to do this or not want to do this, just from meeting space wise.
Okay. So who is that? Dylan? Do you is Dylan making that connection then for the group, or?
Yeah, I can do that unless somebody else has a more natural connection with the AAGB folks. But I guess since we had some conversations off and on over the year with them as a PR committee, then we can go ahead and bird dog that here in the next month or two, if that works for everybody, or someone else is free to jump in on that too.
I was going to say, Dylan, I think you're certainly started that conversation. So yeah, definitely take it and run with it.
Okay.
If you need some help, I've not been involved in it, but I know Peggy Ozias-Akins has been pretty involved in that group. If I'm not mistaken, so she might be a resource, and Corley Holt,
yeah,
even Mark Burrow might be a resource there too, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's I think there'll be a lot of good folks from APRES to do that. But yeah, if y'all are good with it, we'll keep running point on that and be in conversation with Kim about the details on logistics and whatnot, if that becomes a reality with them.
Very good. Thank you, Dylan. Good point, Chris. So, okay. Well, I'm glad that we have these lined out for the next couple of years anyway. And so that's a sigh of relief, and be working on the other 2023 and 24 over the next year. So, all right. Any other questions for Gary on the site selection?
No question. I do want to thank Gary and Kim. It's been a tough road to hoe on site selection the last 6-7 months. So they've done a great job with it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you both. Very good. Thank you. And now we have Dan Enco to talk about his committee's work on the Coit T. Wilson Distinguished Service Award.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to serve on the committee this year. I have a short summary of our activity. On May 1st, the application period closed for receiving nominations, and then the packets were sent out to the rest of the committee on the 3rd of that month. And then a little over a week later, on May 11th, consensus was received. We had 100% participation from the whole committee in reviewing the packets. We received 2 highly deserving packets for this award. And unlike the Fellows Committee here, there can only be one. And so we chose one and forwarded it over to Kim. And that's where we're sitting right now.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate your work on that. And like I said with the Bailey Award, I'll be in contact with you. We can try to figure out how we will make these known to the APRES community. And then we'll certainly ask you in 2021 to present the award to the recipient in person at that time. All right, any questions or comments for Dan? All right, thank you, Dan. Our next report.
Barry, I've got a question about the letting people know who are the recipients. So for the Fellows Award, does that would come from you? I should know that, but
the letter will come from Barry.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, and I think what we're kind of struggling with there, David, is a little bit how do we do that? A little more recognition for them in front of the group this year, because we're not doing a physical meeting. So one idea that's come up is that we during the I think the opening or closing, I forget which it is, of the general session, I have to work with Gary and John on that. We would just make those announcements so that people are aware who won the awards, and then let them know we'll be presenting the awards the coming year when we're in person. So
we will send out an e-blast announcement with all the award winners as well.
Right.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good question. All right. On to the next committee, and that's Joe Sugg, and Bob would talk to us about that for this year.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to give you my therapy real quick, because anybody's worked with student workers while I'm late. Somehow between Stripling Irrigation Park and them coming down and meeting me here, they had found a way to crack the water bottles, break the spray boom. They said somebody pulled out in front of them, so they had to slam on the brakes. So there that went. And while we're trying to work, one of them gets a call that their buddy tested positive for the COVID virus. And so it's a mutiny. They all decide they have to go get tested too right then. And so that's the joy of working with student workers. So more power to them. I want to reflect, just like everybody else has done, as far as thanking Kim. Kim's been a huge help on this, and also Chandler Levinson has been as well. I started this, the committee meetings and talking this year about the Joe Sugg, thinking it was going to be an impossibility. And thanks to a grassroots request from the students themselves to not abandon it and to find a way to put on a virtual meeting or a virtual competition. We actually this year have the largest number of entries, and certainly since I've been here, and I think Kim is right that in APRES history, I think we have 28 or 29, and it's very exciting. And I want to thank Chandler for what she's done to make that come to fruition. A lot of people have been working on it. We've been practicing going through the process using the Zoom to do this. We've had several training sessions, another one coming up this Friday. Amy Kimura has been very, very helpful on this as well. And on July the 8th, all of the students have been notified. July the 8th, we will have a practice for any of the students who want to participate to go through the nuts and bolts and mechanics. They'll have in front of them as well, not only the scoring sheets, but they'll also have some basic instructions on how we're going to move through this. It will be an experiment, but I think that it's been very good. And again, we've had some real good help in putting this together. And we will continue that this week. And then on the 8th, again, we've got 28 or 29 who have signed up. The judges have been flexible with me. All but one of the judges will be able to be there over 2 days, the 15th and the 16th. With that many participants, it's going to take a little while to get through it. But I'm really excited. And again, a silver lining in all of this has been that something that I would never have wanted to attempt. And where angels fear to tread, I would have been, but there's been a lot of people here to help, and I think it's gonna be a really nice thing. Hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully we can meet in person, as people said before. But I think it's going to be really shows the importance that this competition has for the students and how well it is received. One last thing to mention on that is that our sponsors from North Carolina have upped their donation, and now rather than just having a first and second prize, we'll have a first, second, and third prize, which is certainly fitting with the number of students we have participating.
Absolutely, and a lot of work went into that. So if you have questions for Bob, ask him now. But I know he's worked hard on this. Chandler Levinson's worked hard, and Kim has worked hard to not only pull together a format, but also practice. I think you maybe have one more practice session left. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have a practice session on Friday. I'm slowly but surely learning how to do it. And then again, on July 8th, we'll have a session for the students themselves. So I'm really, really proud of the effort that the committee and Kim and Chandler and Emmy have all put into it, and I think that the organization will really benefit from it as well. I think it says a lot about who we are and what we do, and a lot about the student participation by their interest in continuing it. So I think it's a silver lining in all of this is something that I never would have wanted to try. Looks like it will be an exciting addition to the program.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Bob. You're like me. We can teach old dogs new tricks, right? So.
I hope so. The poster competition is also going to be going on, and again, there's been some modifications and some changes to that. But I think I don't have it in front of me. I think the competition for the poster maybe 10 or so. But again, it's good participation, and it's something that is happening for a lot of reasons. And I'm glad that it's moving forward.
And just so everybody is, I think, aware, but just a reminder, this will be the largest portion of our live event for the meeting. We'll have more time spent and more presentations from the students than any other live portion of it, including our opening general session. So, Bob, thank you for that, and for all those involved. We really think it's going to be a highlight for our meeting this year. So. Any questions for Bob? And Bob, help. I guess you need some help, right? Judging.
Just a small note here, but probably I can clarify this with Kim later. I'm seeing for the graduate student poster competition, somebody from Virginia Tech was signed up. I don't have personally, my students are participating in the oral competition, but I do have a student from Makerere, Uganda, that signed up for the poster competition. So probably this is what that VT for the graduate student poster means, but I'll have to check with Kim on that.
I'm sorry, said I was unfortunately reading a comment from David Georgian, which said that he lost audio and couldn't read Bob's lips.
Okay.
Sorry, Maria. So I was laughing. Sorry, Bob.
Hey, Kim, I'll summarize. She was just saying that maybe one of the students in the, just clarifying, the VT in the poster competition, was that a person of her, a student of hers from Africa, right? And just making sure that we got the right person in the right place.
I will confirm that after the meeting with you, Maria. Is that okay?
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Bob, thank you again. We're looking forward to that competition. And starts on the 4th. Well, we'll find that in a minute. So we'll talk about the schedule. So let's move on and to the Cortiva Agriscience Awards Committee. And Nick Defoe. Nick could not be with us, but he did submit a quick report. I talked to him about it. I'll just briefly tell you that the nominations have been received, and the committee is planning to meet by the end of June, and we'll have a awardee selected by that time. So just know that's in process.
He did send me an email while we were meeting to say that he has a brand new adopted baby, and so he could not meet, but we did get nominations for both the research and the education award this year.
Well, that's good. That's great. Thank you, Kim. So we'll look forward to that from him in the next couple of weeks. All right, so the program committee, Gary, would you like to lead us through kind of the nuts and bolts of the virtual program?
Sure. So if we'll go to the next section, the program committee, the program, you can see how we have it set up. We're basically going to have 2 half-day sessions, having the general session in the morning, mid-morning, I should say. So that says 10 to 12 Eastern time. We will have a welcome announcements from the Commissioner of Ag and from the Dean of the Life Sciences, Texas A&M University, trying to get those all worked out. We do have those additions to this general session. And Barry will need to figure out if you want to have your presidential address following these presentations or prior to, so that we can include that in that final agenda. So
sounds good, Gary. We'll talk about that, figure it out. I'm flexible.
Very good. If we look at the speakers, you know, our theme for the meeting this year is production, challenges, and strategies. What I tried to do is look at various aspects of what's going on in the peanut industry and have some key speakers to talk about these portions of it. So we have Patrick Archer from the American Peanut Council, basically going to give us an update on trends that are happening, things that have been, things that will be, things that are not even thought of yet. Dr. Luis Rivera from Texas A&M will give us an update on the markets, not only the commercial U.S. markets, but U.S., Canada, Mexico, and international trade as well. Dr. Samara Sterling from the Peanut Institute will give us some information on nutrition, and then we'll end the session with a panel. We're looking at, I think it's either 3 or 4 Texas producers, and basically give an idea of what's going on with their peanut crop this year and some of the challenges that they faced and some of the innovations that they've come forward with to help their industry along, or to help their farming along. So that covers the general session. I think Kim mentioned it a while ago, we have 127 that have registered for the session. I think we tried 127, right?
We're up to 129.
Hot dog.
2 more came in while we were meeting.
129. And we've tried to set these times so that it's going to be fairly easy for a lot of our virtual attendees. It's not so early in the morning, it's not so late at night, depending on our international guests that are attending. If we look at the symposium, Johnny, I really can't say enough, Johnny Kaysen and Amy Kimura have done an outstanding job of taking on their responsibilities of technical chair and local arrangement chair. And I'm sure that when I asked them to take over that role, they had one idea of how they were going to accomplish this meeting. And then with the pandemic, everything was just thrown up in the air. And these two have really just jumped in with both feet and are really, you can see the general session and the speakers that Johnny has put together, and then Emmy working with Bob and understanding all of this new technology that a lot of us aren't really comfortable with. She is just, it's just the easiest thing for her, and I really appreciate all that they're doing to make this portion of the meeting a success. Questions on the program, or for the general session or the symposium?
I'll just echo that, Gary. Please tell them thank you, and thank you for your leadership and helping to get this pulled off, this new format. So any questions for Gary or comments? All right, Gary, you have more to present?
Nope, that was it.
So I'll just draw your attention then to what's in your packet there. The pre-recorded videos will be available, I think July 14th, right? And that's kind of at our leisure. And then the graduate student competition is the 15th and 16th. And that will conclude our meeting after that point. So very good. Thank you again, Gary. All right, our next report is from the Graduate Student Organization. So Chandler is here to give us a report on their activities.
Hey, this will be super brief. We're excited about the JOSUG competition, and then also we finally have a speaker for the webinar on July 15th. The time's yet to be determined, and I'm meeting with the speaker Monday or Tuesday, so I'll have more details soon. But we're really lucky because she does professional development as a career. So yeah, I'm really thankful and excited. And it's going to be on interviewing, and I'm going to organize some mock group interviews for the second half of the webinar. So I think it'll be cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Chandler. And Chandler will be rotating off as president of the Graduate Student Organization. So we appreciate your work, Chandler, in helping to keep the group going. And I think it's bearing fruit. We have the largest group of students participating in the graduate student competition ever. And so thank you for your work there. And I see that you have a new incoming president, Nick Hurdle from well. And so we'll look forward to working with him. So before I go to the last section here, I just want to say I think we've got a great program planned, and I'm looking forward to it. And I wish we could be together in person, but we'll look forward to that time when we can get together in person. So thank you all. And so just the very last bit here is our outgoing board members. And I've got a list here that's on page 63 of your packet. So Rick Brandenburg has been in several positions for APRES, and since 2016 is what we have listed here on the board. And he's been a hard worker. So Rick, thank you for that. Mark Burrow, who is not with us, also has been on the board for several years, as well as Chris. Chris, thank you for your work and your participation as well. And Steve Brown is the APC representative and has been working with us for a long time, as well as Dan Ward. Looks like he's been working with us the longest. He's either a glutton for punishment or he loves us. So I hope it's the latter. And then Chandler, thank you for your work as well on the board as part of the GSO. So just so each of you know, you will, if you see in the background back there, the nice print, peanut print right here, then you will, how do you do that? There you go, right there. That's what you will receive at some point, and we will get those prints to you before the next meeting, hopefully, is our goal. So that's our goal, to get those to you. So it's a very nice thing to put on your wall. So with that, that's all that I have on the agenda. Are there any other things we need to consider before we conclude?
Just Barry, I just want to thank y'all for the last 3 years, and maybe y'all see me again in 3 years. I enjoyed my time.
Thank you, Chris. Yep. You
Chris.
Just because you rotate off the board doesn't mean you can leave APRES. You got to stick around, and we'll find something for you to do.
Sure. Yes. No, I'm more than happy to. You know, I'm always willing to ask questions and help out. So.
Very good. All right. Anybody else? Kim, any last minute directions for things we may have missed?
There was one item that you mentioned you might want to talk about on 2021 continuation.
Yeah, we did. I will do that. I think I was kind of thinking we had talked a little bit about it, but I think it was more tangential. So I guess this is more for David. I don't know if David's still on or not. Maybe he's already dropped off. But for the 2021 meeting, obviously, as we discussed during the earlier sections of the program part, this pandemic has created the opportunity for us to do something we haven't done before, even thought of before, and that is record our presentations to be able to have them preserved or even available for those who can't attend in person. That's a bit of a tricky thing because we don't want to discourage in-person participation, but we also want to recognize that there are those who can't be with us for whatever reason on a given year due to travel budgets or distance or whatever the case may be, conflicts of time. So I wonder if it might be good for us to explore in the future, and this is really going to be more with David to think about, David Jordan. I see David's back with us. So David, I was talking about you if you weren't hearing all of it, but thinking about the potential for, even in the future, recording our presentations like we did this year, to have them available in some format for maybe a registration for in-person meeting and registration for attending the virtual parts of it. So that's just an idea that I think we talked about, how we could expand APRES reach and our influence around the peanut community. This might be one way to do it. So any questions or comments about that? David, I don't know if you caught all that or not. So ask questions.
I did not. Yeah, somehow I'd lost my connection and I just got back on. So
okay.
But I'll be able to go to the recording and capture that discussion. I can do that.
Yeah, it was really quick. It was just the idea that we could use this format in some way to help APRES sort of broaden our reach and broaden our the audience for our science with a virtual format that we could sort of combine with an in-person format. So that was the idea. I think that's going to be something for future program chairs to think about.
Okay. We're all doing that, preparing for the virtual side of things.
So. Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, hopefully we'll be allowed to get back together soon, maybe next year, hopefully. But I think it's just brought to mind opportunities that we hadn't thought of before. So
Makes sense. Thanks.
All right, very good. Thank you, Kim, for reminding me of that. And we are almost at 2 hours here, so I appreciate your stick-to-itiveness for hanging in there. And we did have a lot of ground to cover, and I think it went really well. I appreciate your participation and time. Do I hear a move to adjourn?
Do we have to accept these meeting minutes or this meeting, all the things that were recommended? Sorry,
Oh, that's
just
right.
me.
Yeah, we do. Thank you, Chris. That's right. We need to, we did actually vote on the other minutes. We need to vote on these, Kim, or do we wait until they come out?
The committee reports is what he means. To accept all the committee reports.
Yes, so I'll take.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for translating.
Accept all the committee reports.
Yes.
I will motion to approve.
All right, have a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Maria. All right, so motion to approve second. You know the drill, yes or no buttons.
We're good to go.
We're good to go. Thank you. All right, so finally, or did I miss something else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank you.
Yep. And second, and then thank you, Barry, for all your hard work this last year.
Thank you all very much. All right. Enjoy the rest of your week, folks, and we look forward to seeing you in July, if not before.
Thank you, Kim and Barry.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kim and Barry.
Take care, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.